The ZESNAD is of the same opinion, and the reports from the market, I would like to stress out, from the market, from the real cargo market, are those. Firstly, no one forwarder will pay to any carrier, rail, freight, cargo carrier, any €1, cent, or koruna, or zloty, to pay the additional cost of DAC. These forwarders will shift not to rail, but to road. It's the everyday practice of all our members. It's the report from the market. I marked the very useful information from the Mr. Henrik, already Director General for Mobility and Transport, European Commission, that our task is to transform Europe's rail freight by strengthening its competitiveness. So yeah, it's a simple question. How DAC practically in less than 7 years, 3 months and 10 days, which left to do 2030, strengthens the competitiveness of real middle-sized or big freight rail cargo company in Europe towards the market of road, because these are the real competitors in the modal split. Every one freight rail cargo competitor faces the road competitors on the market. So I would like to stress it very clearly now. I would not like to broken the window or to scratch up the very positive picture which has been presented to us. I was called by the colleagues from the German, and thank you very much for that, that I'm regarded like a canary in mine. Yeah, we are canaries in mine. Our members in ZESNAD are very afraid that the present deployment of DAC may be and could lead to killing the business. And once the business is just the economy. Who will pay for that at the end of the day? Will be the forwarder, the customer of the rail cargo carrier, or will be the European Commission? Yeah, and we had just 10 or 15 minutes ago that the European Commission says, no, we will not fund 100% the member states. The member states in the European Union are facing the phenomenal and very deep energetic crisis now. I do believe that in several outcoming years, in 7 further years, the European states will have enough fund for this. I would be very happy if it will be true, but I shall be realistic, because the financial directors of all the operators will come, not at the end of the day, but at the beginning of the day, and say how many euros in reality the DAC will save in cost per wagon, per train, per day, per month, per year, and how I can diminish our prices towards the customers. How? Just so. And there was a very fine remark, again from speeches. Are we chasing the reality, or are we chasing the dreams?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So, just only one remark. One remark. So please don't interrupt me. We are, yeah. Okay, I understand. I'm prepared. The members of ZESNAD are very afraid that we are leading to the situation that the competition on the market towards the customers will be replaced by the competition of petitioners for funding towards the European Commission funds. That's all.
Thank you. Well, I can answer simple like this. And I think it's the answer that you need to go and to tell the European citizens. Every year, based on a study of the European Commission, the cost of a study analysis, transport, largely road transport, to look at here, is 942 billion per year. Congestion, people dying, traffic jams, pollution, impact on climate. We don't have the money to
interrupt. It's demagogy.
No, it's not demagogy. It's only
what of these issues you have mentioned will solve the digital alternative?
I will come to this if I can finish. Okay. It's exactly the cost of the investment that we are doing that is more than paid back if we make such type of investment. We are looking at the return on investment at long term. And this, I think, is not demagogy. It's facts. It's number and figure of every single day. And I think things are changing. It is visible. We were able to develop a vaccine, thank you to the investment and the commitment, in 1 year against 10 years. Or we can continue to do the business like we do before. And the business will not finish because we will have to pay the DAC. It will be finished because the road transport will be electrified on hydrogen and will be there in less than 10 years, not by 2030. Okay? So the answer are, a lot of answers are there here.
Thanks, Carlo. I mean, I will finish with the demagogy. Well, you know what I mean. I mean, I want to have a constructive debate, and so let's get into a constructive debate in a minute. But I think we have to be clear. I mean, the automatic coupling is not exactly new. The automatic coupling has been in mandatory use in the United States for the last 129 years, and that's mandatory use. It was invented in the 1860s. It was first proposed for deployment here in Germany, I think by Siemens in around 1912. And if we don't do it, it's not a question of by doing it we kill the industry. If we don't do it, there will not be an industry. I mean, the rail freight industry in Europe is in the back. Has disappeared in a lot of Europe, although we know it's vital to the flexibility that we need the railway to provide. And we need the DAC to make the rail freight system reliable, flexible, and to bring down the costs of the railway system. That's why we're doing it. Now, we know it's difficult, and that's why we're running the EDDP. But I mean, just to sit here and say it's not going to happen, I'm sorry, that's not helpful. And if that is the attitude, I would also have to go back and tell Henrik and my Commission colleagues that there's no point in us investing the very large sums of money that we are investing in the trans-European networks because simply you don't believe you can deliver. So, I mean, let's have a constructive debate. There is a lot of money that is required. I don't think 62 billion is quite the figure. I think the real figure is around 10 billion, and we need to work out how to get that figure down. Of course, if we reinvest in new locomotives, in equipping with ETCS at the same time, maybe there's scrapping and replacement that has to be done, but that's not just the cost of the DAC, that's something much bigger, but hopefully also much more viable. But still, when we come on to this in a minute, you look to the European Union or to the Commission and say we must pay for everything. Well, in the end of the day, the Commission is simply part of the European economy. It's a prioritisation at European level of where we spend money that has to come. And maybe it's effectively, efficiently spent through the Commission. Maybe it's appropriate to do it at member state level. But I mean, that's a discussion to have at levels of Ministry of Finance. But simply to look at us as some kind of pot of gold that's going to pay for everything, I mean, it's just not true. And there's no point in me sitting here pretending it's true, because it ain't going to happen. We need to find a constructive way of seeing who doesn't get direct benefits in this transition, because we know that, of course, it makes more sense in the parts of Europe with high labour costs than those with lower labour costs. There are some parts of the industry who need to do it, so we move on a common basis that frankly don't need to do it, where there are others who get all the benefits of capacity, etc. immediately. So for those things, of course, we need to find ways of having a sort of Robin Hood fund of making sure that we pay the people who don't get the direct benefits. But it's hard, but I mean, and the timing is hard, but we need that if we're to deliver for climate change, if we're to deliver for energy security. So we have to put ourselves under pressure. And frankly, if we don't put ourselves under that pressure, we will be back where we've been in that last 129 years of saying we must do it, but a bit like St. Augustine, please, but not quite yet. And that will be the death of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kier. We are moving to the question of the investment and the funding, and this is what Antonio and Mitchell introduced. The question is that we need to find, and we started with this, we start from a situation in which there is no funding, and we need to create a business case that has to be solved to achieve it. I will be clear on the return on investment case, and there is a return on investment. So Mitchell has shown the numbers about the return on investment. Clearly there is a major gap between when the costs have to be sustained and when the return on investment come back. This is what Mitchell explained, and he talked about, if I remember correctly, 2055. Yeah, and we can look at the different return on investment in the different phases of the So these are really the topic that we need to discuss now. Peter, you wanted to intervene.
Maybe just one remark on the discussion. As a wagon rental company, our investment horizon is 32 years. So we talk about 2054, 55, and even sometimes longer before such a wagon produces the profitability that we need as an investor. And now, please everyone imagine in 2054 someone walking beside a train with his hammer, hammering on the wheel, listening and saying, yeah, this is fine, this is safe. When the entire world has digitalized. I can't see the future.
Yeah. Effectively, the difference between an automotive or a car of today, a car of 50 years ago, is the only difference is that there is around 50 to 100 computers on board. But the car is still the same box, and the performance is completely different. Claudia, what do you take out from this discussion, and how you see from a member state's perspective the need to provide this perspective of the funding and financing that will be one of the essential elements to start the process of the migration, because at the end
and all the decisions, all the acquis communautaire we have, that rail freight industry and transport is based on the market. Now we are facing of the simple question that we shall solve the social problems by the market tools. Okay, I think it's that. Once more, we shall address the simple question: how, in reality, the DAC will strengthen the competitiveness of every single rail cargo carrier towards the road, because it's the most important split modal competition. In reality, yeah, it's just reality. How? The figures, the real figures, corona cents percentage maybe at the beginning of the day, not at the end, because every financial director of the members of our association will ask for that. To just first, and frankly speaking, almost all the members of our association are in public or communal or state hands, and only about a quarter is in private hands. So just to have the picture. For example, CD Cargo is the state-owned. The INNOTRANS is the Hamburg Port Authority. It's okay, but just only have the picture in our minds. So I understand. But once more, who will pay for that at the end of the day? And I think that we understand that in this nowadays real situation, it cannot be transferred the cost of DAC to the forwarders, to the customers of the rail freight cargo carriers, because forwarders say, okay, you will hike the prices, okay, we are go to the road or we are go to anywhere, because we are not able to pay for that. That's all, because it's still they are operating on the market. They are still operating on the market. And once more, my remark, the DAC and the deployment and also the additional operational costs of DAC, because the remark is very correct that the automatic coupling, it's invented more than 100 years, but not the digital. And the digital means that the simple wagon, the freight wagon, now it's a mess of iron. Frankly speaking, and the most complex device is the vacuum brake, I think. Now it will be full of the electronic components who will serve, who will operate, who will service that, the cost, operational cost of that. It's not so simple as it's now. Okay, I understand digital web, okay, and the reliability of that. And Once more, yeah, I am now. Sorry, I know that there is no now it's time for the legal questions. But now we have the wagons with fully interoperable, very old-fashioned, but interoperable throughout all the Europe. Couple screw, hooker, buffer system. Very old-fashioned, but fully interoperable. And we have wagons, and we are in this situation from the 1922. If we are deployed the DAC as it has been presented, we are going back and dividing at least for the 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, the group of wagons, DAC and non-DAC. Oh, maybe I am mistaken, but it's another. Okay, so I am mistaken. Okay, I am mistaken. Okay, okay, I'm mistaken. Okay, okay. So once more, is there a solution for that? That the competition on the market, because the rail freight carriers are still operating on the market, on the competition with the road especially. There is a solution for that? The competition on the market will not be replaced by the competition of the petitioners for the subsidies from the states and or from the EU. That's all.
I think for this we'll have answer, but a couple of interventions. Kiro, you want to intervene before Peter, or as you like? Okay, Kiro.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I mean, firstly, it would be good if we can get into some of the detail of the discussion, but of course the starting point of the detail of the discussion is two things. I mean, while I'm sitting here very clearly saying that the Commission is not paying for all of it, the discussion is equally premised on the basis that there probably does need to be some state intervention, and we need to work out what and how and what the balance between what the Commission could in the end subsidise and what comes from member states. So that's a very important point. But the second important point, perhaps the most important point, is that before this panel we had our presentation where we actually show a pretty strong positive cost-benefit analysis, albeit with quite a lot of caveats and details still to be completed. But I mean, it does show a positive business case for this, which means that there ought to be some means of getting commercial funding for it, as well as the state support we needed. And I mean, it's again working out how to do that we need. And of course, the final point, I mean, maybe for Czechia, you think you can survive with the system for a while longer, but I mean, frankly, we're sitting here partly because the country to the west of you doesn't think that, and the country to the south of you doesn't think that. And Czech freight is not mostly confined to Czechia, it is international. So, I mean, we need a European solution, so we have to move on. So let's have that discussion and see how we do it. Just on the migration, I mean, of course we know that this is hard, this is one of the reasons it's never happened, but I mean, we are working on how to do that in a way that is as undisruptive as possible during the period of transition. I mean, clearly there will be some flows that actually don't have to change, and others where we find ways of doing it gradually. I mean, there are all sorts of innovative ideas of having a mix of wagons with DAC on one end and conventional couplings on the other, so we run them in pairs and so on. So I mean, there are creative ideas, and obviously we need to work with you on how that works in practice, but we know it's an issue, but we know we need to find solutions. Thanks.
Maybe, Kira, if I may ask, thank you. If I may ask you a compliment, because you have been working in competition law, and you're a lawyer. Can you answer us the question on the question of how the market with subsidy can be remaining a competitive market under European law? So I think one of the points was question is that the public intervention compared to market, and I think it's absolutely compatible, because this is what you said just now, but maybe you can provide really the way that we can look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it does become a complicated question, but I mean, essentially what we have in the European Union is state aid rules, which are designed to ensure that when we intervene in a market with state funding, it is designed in a way that it doesn't harm legitimate competition, but that it feeds money into a market to pay for legitimate social goals or to address market failures. And I mean, here we clearly face both that. We have a market failure in the sense that this is a transition that clearly hasn't happened and probably isn't going to happen with a lot of scale-up intervention. And there's an obvious societal goal in meeting all our societal environmental targets, in meeting the social targets, and not actually sticking people in the middle of wagons being loose shunted around, frankly, a risk that would be unacceptable in a modern industry. So I mean, we can do all that. And as we develop this scheme, of course, we will have discussions with our colleagues in DG Comp to make sure of the exact details. But I mean, it's no different to what we do with funding ETCS on board units, for example. I mean, we don't normally fund new freight vehicles, but we do fund interventions which are necessary for the system.
Thank you, yeah. Peter.
We have done last year together with ArcelorMittal and SNCF and DB Cargo and the industry, the different suppliers of the DAC. We have done a study and really detailed on a closed flow between the plant in Dunkirk and a supplier 60 kilometers away with a flow that is over almost 1 million tons per year. We did a detailed study on how this would work afterwards with the DAC. And the benefits were quite overwhelming. Just for example, and Arno, you correct me if I say something wrong, the preparation of the train today for the plant takes 4 hours. If we do the DAC, it can be reduced to half an hour. And then this already is one thing. We have simulated locomotive poolings and locomotive routes, and in fact we come to a third reduction of the need in locomotives. We come to a number of people that are not necessary today, and these are jobs where someone is standing behind at the train to just look if there's someone. So this is not and how it works like this, and so digitalizing this flow clearly shows a huge benefit. But for the transition period, even if for such a smaller flow, we need public money to come over the risks. Because we as a wagon keeper and as a rental company, and I speak here for my colleagues from rental companies, we are not here to invest into risks. We are here to invest into a proven technology for 40, 50 years. And this investment into risks, we will not do that. So there must be someone else, and I can't see someone else than the public, the government for that. But after this period, when the things have shown their benefit, then this will work as a business.
Thank you, Peter. Before going to a conclusion, because we are over time and we should have finished 15 minutes ago, any question or comments? I didn't have any doubts. Andreas. You have been following all the migration preparations.
Yes.
I have a lot of to tell us.
Thank you, Carlo. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are over time, as Carlo already mentioned, I don't want to go too much into details, but 2 things. First is for all those who are interested in the details of the migration planning, we have a small stand outside there, on the outdoor display at track 10. There you can see also a DAC coupler there, and we will explain to you if you want the migration strategies. The second is I don't want to leave to go home here believing that we have to scrap a lot of European locomotives or a huge chunk out of the European wagon fleet. We are currently looking for solutions for those vehicles where it is technically challenging. It doesn't mean that we will find a solution for everything, but the opposite, it doesn't mean that we will scrap everything where we don't have an idea yet.
Discussions, and that we will be able to solve this, to overcome this. If we have proven something today is that we're very transparent, that we have no whatever kind of intention to hide any of the critics of the points here raised, but still we need to move on, we need to discuss, we need to solve it, and I would always say we need to listen to those different points raised. On the other side, I'd like to encourage the other partners as well to listen to our arguments, which are solid, because we are not starting, we have not started working today. We have a lot of studies, we have a lot of work done already by numerous partners, people, and last sentence from my side, speaking not on behalf of the program management of the European DAC Delivery Program, speaking on behalf of ÖBB, as Andreas did on behalf of Deutsche Bahn, we see the benefits. So we are a carrier, we are in the business, we are not the smallest company. Rail Cargo Austria is also doing some interesting business, let's say it that way, and we do believe this investment is needed, innovation is needed to overcome this and to transform the system. So I'm very much looking forward to welcome you in Vienna or wherever to have further talks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
So I would like to conclude with a couple of takeaways from this, and I think we need to answer the question on Matthias. Maybe we can start, Peter, maybe we'll...
Thank you very much.
Because
I would like to report to the members of the ZESNAD that they can believe that they will survive. That's all.
Yeah.
Because you can kill the canary in the mine. You can. It's very simple. It's very simple. But will you survive also? That's all.
Mr. Vaklavic, you want to interview again? Okay? Kia, and after Claudia. We believe that DAC can be a positive solution. The question is how we move from the idea, the plan, to have it deployed in the decade, because this is our target. And clearly this means without disrupting the competition, creating market opportunities, creating growth, and so on and so on. So I think I would say the real takeaway of this event is really that we need to work more, and I'm talking to Mark and Jens, the program management of the EP in particular, to disseminate what we are doing, to embrace those that are not informed, and we need to provide information to understand exactly the different situation, not anymore at European level, but at local level, because anything we will be doing will require to provide answer to bring on board this. And clearly we count, I think this work is done together with the European Commission. Effectively the Commission is leading and chairing the supervisory board of the European DAC Delivery Program, and this is really the work we are doing with Europe Sail. I would like also to announce that we have on the table at the moment a new open call that is being published a couple of days ago in support of the European DAC Delivery Program. And this is done exactly with the logic that we have used resources beyond what was initially planned to support more the activity, and we will do more also in the future. I would like to thank you, the panel, for your presence, for the discussion, and for the openness in the discussion. I think this was really what we need, and I think it's important that we hear. I know that many people here in this room are working on this issue, as Andreas said, Matthias and many others are here. So thank you very much to all, and I think we will have the need to organize a new event in which maybe we will move to a next step. The next step is to say how we make the migration happening soon. Thank you very much.